I had a chance to sit down exclusively with Qualcomm CEO Steve Mollenkopf yesterday after the call. We talked about the quarter, Qualcomm's business in China, and what's coming with 5G. Take a listen.
The quarter that we just reported on, and then the quarter that we just gave the guidance, the December quarter, be strong quarters for our licensing business. They happen to be the seasonal licensing strong quarter. But then you're going to see that flip over to the product business in the March quarter or the first calendar quarter of 2020. And that's what we anticipated. That's what we talked about last quarter. It's happening. We're excited about it. And a lot of that is happening in China. So what's happening in China is they are moving the price points for 5G very aggressively down in the portfolio.
Why?
Why? I think they realize that 5G is such an important technology. They want to get quickly into that market. So, for example, they're putting every device above 3,000 RMB will be a 5G device. That's a pretty large number.
Sure.
Then by the end of next calendar year, that'll be 2,000 RMB. Which is for U.S. people, that's essentially a $300 phone or above will be 5G. A big portion of the volume. They're pushing it very aggressively. We're seeing that in the plans from our OEMs, and of course we've anticipated that in our product portfolio. And that excitement, that opportunity is really what we're spending all of our time working on now.
Given that, from a global perspective, by the end of 2020, are you going to have a 5G phone in the market if you're selling phones in order to be competitive, period?
Yeah, I think so. And that's really what you see from the big handset OEMs. We gave some guidance for 200 million units, midpoint guidance really for 5G in calendar year 2020. That's a pretty significant number. It's even higher as a percentage if you look at the tiers impacted. So, for example, if you look at a premium tier device or a mid-tier to high-tier device by the end of next calendar year, I think it's going to be quite difficult to find a device that isn't 5G enabled because of what the OEMs are doing.
Of course, the reason why I say that is because there's speculation about whether Apple, say, adds 5G just at the high end or throughout their portfolio. I know you love talking about OEMs' product plans, but it seems more and more like people are moving toward thinking, no, Apple's got to have it throughout their range.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would direct you to them, but I think that the general trend of people using more 5G versus less is there, and certainly at the price points that people tend to talk about in terms of being the kind of the market-moving price points. And there's a lot of reasons why that's true, but in the developed world, kind of China all the way through to the United States, the intensity in getting 5G out the door is very high.
So from the sound of it, he is expecting the supply of 5G devices to be pretty strong, especially because of China's push for 5G well into the mid-tier of phones. And, maybe Apple's got to have more than just your high-end iPhone 12 Max Plus, etc., carrying 5G. Maybe it's got to be throughout the line. Still, the question, though, is how are consumers going to be incentivized to take advantage of that? Is it going to be faster downloads on these streaming services? Is it going to be the low latency in gaming? What's going to be the killer app for 5G? I mean, FaceTime was 4G. I mean, everybody, if you wanted to do FaceTime, you had to have the faster network. What's it going to be for 5G? We'll see.
All right, so here's the headline in CNBC.com today. China starts development of 6G, having just turned on its 5G mobile network. I wonder, given the comments that he made to you about China, about 5G, whether he thinks the U.S. is behind the ball on this.
Well, as my friend Arjun, who wrote that piece from out in China, acknowledges in the piece, 6G doesn't exist yet, right? so these Gs are really marketing terms, and standards bodies agree on what actually comprises that. 5G is just rolling out now. Usually these come out on a 10-year cycle. So nobody's defined 6G. This is just China's way of saying, hey, we're working on the next thing. I'm sure Qualcomm and Nokia and Ericsson would say, yeah, we're working on the next thing too. But this has become, and continues to be a technology positioning game. Hey, we're still working. Are you guys working? And Qualcomm would say, yeah, we're working on it too.
As for the price action today, some argued that it really wasn't a real mystery how this quarter was going to turn out after Apple printed. Do you think it was as obvious as that?
No, I mean, on the licensing side, Apple certainly helps, and the licensing business did do pretty darn well. But for Qualcomm to then have a guide as strong as they did, and then also mention, okay, in our fiscal Q2, that's when you're going to start to see some of the impact from 5G, and say, oh yeah, by the way, there's going to be a double-digit revenue impact to that, to the upside. They gave some real specifics that showed confidence to an analyst community that's been used to a lot of uncertainty around this stock, not necessarily because of the product, but hey, because of macro stuff, because of China, because of legal, because of somebody trying to take them over, because of Apple not being... Now, some of that stuff is still around. Huawei, they still got some things to work out there, but there's enough that is visible into the future that you got some confidence.
Yeah, it has been a complex thesis on Qualcomm this year.